mean, I probably can't speak highly enough for what those young boys have done through the tournament. With the strategy we had going into the auction, for me was about, almost like a total rebuild of the team and the franchise. And, retaining Simran and Shashank allowed us to go in with a budget, a big budget. So I started at the top with the captain and Arshdeep and Chahal and those guys. But to build a team, you've got to build around experienced players as well. So once we locked those experienced players in the first part of the auction, then it was about picking the right young talent and the right people to bring into our franchise to make it different and make it dynamic. And I think I said the first press conference I had with Shreyas in Mullumpur before the season started, it was about becoming a daring, dynamic and different team. And on the back of what Prab and Priyansh and Wadera and these sort of guys were able to do, I think there's probably enough been said through the media over the last couple of months, the way that we've been able to play our cricket. It's been a highly entertaining team to watch, and that for a coach to be able to sit back and talk about a team that way gives me a lot of satisfaction. So, you can probably look at it tonight and say, was it probably a little bit of inexperience that cost us? Maybe a little bit of experience in that middle order today might have helped us out, but what I know is that we're going to have these younger guys around this team for a long time, and I think they're going to win us a lot of games going forward.
Did the conditions changed when you were batting? Were they better when RCB was batting? And did it deteriorate a little?
No, I don't think so. There's no excuses from us, no excuses from me. In fact, Shashank at the end of the game said he thinks that's the best wicket he's batted on for the whole season. So it wasn't the wicket. I mean, we just lost a bit of momentum at a critical time. Probably the last couple of overs of the power play, you could feel that it just started, that momentum just started to go away a little bit. And then, probably the 4 or 5 overs outside the power play, we just lost momentum. We lost critical wickets. Krunal Pandya did an exceptional job with the overs that he bowled. So that, the game was starting to slip away around 11, 12, 13 overs. And, we got, the hole got too big, and some quality bowling at the end meant we came up just a little bit short. But, even to get as close as we did, other teams might have got bowled out there for, 30 or 35 runs short. But, for us to go down by, I don't even know, was that last ball a 6 or a 4? I didn't even see that. So we lost, what was it, 7 runs in the end, was it? 6 runs, yeah. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Wadera played one of his best knocks 2 days ago against Mumbai in a similar situation in the game. Chasing a total, and he get 48 off 25 balls or something the other day. So I once again, no excuses. We had the right personnel in the right phases of the game. We just didn't get the job done tonight.
Vicky, throughout the tournament, wherever there has been any kind of dilemma or whatever, you've always taken the aggressive route, the more attacking option, and taken it really on all the time. Did you feel today, like almost 3 and 4, maybe you were not true to your game, almost 3 and 4 in the power play, and probably after that you were just chasing the game?
Yeah, maybe. As I said, I felt a little bit of momentum start to shift there. Obviously, we got, 13 off the first over. I think we're maybe 20 after 2 overs. Got the game where we want it. Even tactically, I think RCB were good there. Hazelwood bowling the third. He's normally bowled a little bit later in the power play than that. So they probably identified that they need to try to change the momentum. He comes on. And he's had really good success against us every game this tournament. So you could understand that the boys were probably looking to be a bit more circumspect in his first over, but it was probably the over after that. When you have a really good defensive over, it's really important that the next one you go after and try and capitalise on. And we weren't able to do that in the 4th over of that power play. But I think we were 52 or 53 at the end of the power play, and they were 55. So it wasn't like we were a long way behind, but that momentum had changed a little bit, and it was more those 4 or 5 overs just outside the power play where it started to change.
Was it that kind of a reaction to the last game against RCB?
I would like to think not, because one thing I've told this group, and you mentioned it there, is always taking the game forward, always seeing the positive result in the way that we go about it, not thinking about the negative result that might happen if you get out. I mean, one thing as a batsman in this game, you can't be worried about getting out. If you're worried about getting out, you can't play the game well. So, I think the other thing you probably have to give some credit to is Phil Salt's catch of Priyansh Arya. That could have been a pretty critical moment in the game as well. We know how dangerous he is and has been through the tournament, particularly in the first 6 overs. So, that was a great piece of fielding, and sometimes these 20-over games can be decided by a piece of brilliance like that. So you got to give them credit. They probably felt they were a little bit short with the bat in the first innings, and we were pretty happy to be able to chase 190. But, as I said, and I'll make no excuses, we just weren't good enough.
You're a very diligent coach, takes a lot of notes. I'm sure you have taken a lot of notes of RCB bowlers before the final. Could you just throw some light on RCB bowlers who have done a big difference this season? And also Josh has leading the attack and leading the take.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how those things work out, isn't it? That, to have him available pretty much for the whole season, and we've got a couple of guys that we would have loved to have had around for a big game like this and a big final like this, and we aren't able to have that happen. But look, I think we identified a few bowlers in their attack that we thought we could really get after today. I'm a very close observer of the game, so when I watch the game as closely as I do, I'm able to pass on little insights, I guess, to the players about the way that they maybe should be thinking about playing their cricket against certain bowlers, against certain teams. We've got it right for most of the year this year. It was only a couple of days that we were here celebrating one of our great wins for the season to get into the final, and today we probably feel that we've let one slip. But as I said, with this group being as young as it is, we'll be back bigger and stronger next season.
Ricky, you have been in IPL for quite a long time to realize that Punjab Kings have been quite underachievers. And what did you tell the players or management or owners that what should be done for the season? And secondly, I saw your comments in ICC that Shreyas Iyer was tried out because of non-selection for small test and Indian testing. You think he deserves to be in Indian testing? I think it's always easy to make observations from the outside about certain teams, certain franchises, certain players. But I made it pretty clear when I was appointed as head coach that I wanted to make sure things were different. I wanted to make sure things were done in a certain way. And that's from the top, that's from the owners to the head coach all the way down to the bus driver, really. I wanted to make things different. I wanted to make significant change, and I think we've managed to do that. If you ask the players, you ask any of the staff that have been involved in this campaign, I think they'd say that it's been a really enjoyable time. We've had a lot of fun. We've worked hard. We've had our challenges as well, with Durham Sharla happening like it did, and having to get out of there, and in the middle of a game that we probably would have won. Players going home, Marco at a World Test Championship final, things like that. So we've had our challenges along the way, as all teams have through this tournament. But look, I couldn't be prouder of the group. I couldn't be more proud of the franchise from where we sort of started. When I say started, that was with only 2 retentions at the auction table, to be able to build a group like we have. And that's not just me. That's all the scouts and all the management that's involved. And and Shreyas has been a huge part of the season. There's no doubt about that. He's grown as a person. He's grown as a player. He's grown as a leader. And I thought he would get picked in that test team, but they've decided, or test squad, they've decided to go another way. And you can tell with certain people, you can see by the look in their eye how determined they are. And he was very determined at the start of this season, before that test selection was even made. He was determined, like me, to come to a new team and a new franchise and make a immediate difference to the setup, and he's done that. He's the only captain now, I think, to take 3 different franchises to 3 IPL finals. So that probably says enough about him as a leader.
As somebody who won almost everything as a player, as a captain in international cricket, then twice he coached IPL teams to the final. Could you
3 times, actually.
Virat Kohli
I won one with Mumbai, remember? Don't forget about that one.
Could you take us to what after such a long wait, 17 years, 18 seasons, finally he has his answer.
Oh, well, I think you can see in his eyes in that last over, you know, he was shedding a tear. That's what it means to players. That's what it means to everyone, this tournament. It's not a, you know, Chennai have won it a few times, Mumbai have won it a few times, but it's not an easy tournament to win. As simple as that. And you have to think long and hard about that. It's not easy to win this thing. Think about how many good teams that they've had, RCB, over the years. You talked about the Punjab Kings and some of the teams that they've had and not been able to get there as well. It's hard. So that's why it means so much to so many people. And he could see what it meant to him and his wife and all the RCB fans to finally get the monkey off their back and win an IPL title. So hopefully in 12 months, that's the Punjab Kings out there doing that, and I'll hopefully have another title there somewhere.
Virat also said that while this means so much to him, it's 5 years below Test cricket. You see a larger message there in what he's trying to say?
It's 5 layers below Test cricket.
The feeling.
5 levels.
5 levels below Test cricket.
Winning an IPL is 5 levels below Test cricket. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest purists of the game that there is still involved in the game, whether I'm coaching or commentating. You know, my first love is Test match cricket, always will be. You know, I was lucky enough to play some World Cups and things like that, but, you know, now that I can't play anymore, this is as close as I can get to being able to play a Test match again. So, but I totally understand what he means. You know, he had a magnificent Test match career and an even better white ball career that's obviously still going. So, yes, I can understand what he means, but, you know, I'm not sure how much of a celebrator Virat is, but I reckon he'll be celebrating long and hard tonight and the next couple of days. They deserve to be able to do that.